Alright, this is Shedhead. I'm here at O'Neill Brothers Racing. We're going to go over the new alcohol line of motors here. We've got this motor pretty reliable. It's really a simple run motor for you. We've done a lot of things and a lot of testing to make it so that people can drop these cars in and run them. First off, on the carburetors, you're going to set the bottom end at 2 1/4, and when you're done running, you flush out the carb with regular fuel and purge it. All you have to do is put it at 1 1/8, pull it a couple times, and she's going to start right up so you can clean it out. We've had a lot of fun with these motors, guys, and they run really well. The base settings for these, we're going to want to keep the high-end needle at about 3.5 turns out. We do a couple things to the intake and the carburetor, so that'll be supplied with your motor, and that makes it, once again, it makes it really reliable. They start up kind of easy. You don't have a choke on these, so one of the things you're going to do once in a while is you're going to have to pop the throttle a little bit on the startup to pull it once in a while. If you start, you don't want to do it off the first pull or two. And then the other thing is you're going to want to let these alcohol motors warm up. They want to run cold. So you can't just start them up, give them a couple revs and open them up, because you'll do some damage in there when it doesn't have time to warm up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start this motor up, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff you should be doing when you're braking in the motor. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do slow pulls on the throttle. We're just going to drive the car back and forth, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to keep it under a load, and we're not going to open it up. So that's what we're going to do right now. Right now we got the needles, the low 2 1/4, the high is 3.5. Then when the motors are new, your idle is going to be kind of sporadic. It's going to kind of stay high, and then it's going to drop down low. And that's just because the ring needs to get nice and seated. It needs to get all that compression built up so it's nice and the motor's running smooth. Also, when the motor warms up, that idle relaxes a little bit better as well. So we're going to go ahead and start this one up, and I'm going to show you guys what you're going to want to run when you're braking. Okay, what I want you guys to listen for is when we're pulling the motor down the line, you're going to hear it do a little bit of flutter. That's right where the top end is kicking in. It's going to do a little bit of a flutter. That's where it's dumping a lot of fuel in. You're going to want to keep it right there. Usually it's right around maybe a 1/4 throttle. In your motor, you're going to probably want to put about a tank through it. You want to get that motor loosened up. You want that idle to creep up. You want everything to smooth out. Remember, don't start the cars up and get right on them. Alcohol burns cold. It takes a while to heat the crank up. You got to get all the metal heated all the way through in order for these motors to run good without doing damage to them before you really start getting on it. Okay? We've noticed a lot in the in these motors, let me turn so the wind doesn't hit this camera hard. What we've noticed in these motors is I've ran quite a few of them, and I'm noticing that the needles are always going to be right about there. You're going to have to tune by the plug on the top end, but 2 1/4 is going to be your number for the low end needle. Don't change it. Okay? What I'm going to do is, this motor's already tuned right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and warm it up, and then I'm going to bring it back in, and then I'm going to fatten it up. One of the things you can really look for in these alcohol motors is you're going to get a lot of smoke out of the pipe. You want that. You want that smoke to pour out. It's just the way alcohol runs. Okay, we're going to go ahead and fatten it up and let you guys listen and hear what it looks like. Okay, one thing you noticed on there, and if you haven't, go ahead and rewind the video and listen for it. That actual gurgle is up higher now in the motor. It's putting out more smoke off the bottom end, and it's a little bit boggier off the bottom. Those are kind of the characteristics of alcohol being too fat. But I'll tell you what, your car will run a lot faster being too fat than it will too lean. When you're on the too lean side, you're going to wear out the motor a lot faster. You're going to do a lot more damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set the needles back, and we're going to pretty much show you what this should do off the line. Remember, this alcohol, when you're running this stuff, I can't emphasize enough, you've got to let the motors warm up. I've been out here doing this. The motor's still warm internally, so I can get on it. Notice how hard it was also to start. It wanted to flood out because I opened up the top end about a 1/4 turn. Also, notice how this idle's coming back down, how it's idling smooth. Once it stops, it's going to drop a little. Watch the smoke come out of this pipe. Now also notice when I come by at top speed, notice the smoke pouring out. This motor we happen to know right where it's tuned, but once you get it all broken in, I want you guys to tune your own motors, and you're going to have to tune it off the plug. You're going to want the same readings, kind of what we got going on in the gas line of motors. You're going to want that nice little cocoa butter plug. Okay, once again, we've done some mods to this motor to make it very simple for you to run. This motor is about as simple as you're going to get next to gasoline with what we've done. To buy the head kits and to put one together yourself might be a little bit of mission, so you might want to get one complete in a long block form with the intake all taken care of by O'Neill Brothers. But once again, really simple motor to work with. If you have any questions or anything, go ahead and drop us a line and send us an email of what you would like us to see do to help you run our motors better. Thanks. Have a great day. See you in the wheelies. Here, I'll tuck it into my pockets.
I want to do it.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, now at the end of each day running, you're going to want to purge out your alcohol motor. We run Castor 927 oil in our alcohol fuel. You're going to want to do the same. We found it mixes up the best. So we also run that in our regular 2-strokes fuels. So just go ahead and pour the alcohol out of the tank, and then just go ahead and add in some of your 2-stroke fuel. Just regular gasoline, doesn't matter what it is. Now I'm not going to touch anything on the carburetor. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take the low end needle and I'm just going to turn it all the way in. Go all the way in with it. Now this carburetor, you're going to set it out at 1 1/8 turns out. Okay, remember you're not going to touch anything else on the carburetor. When you're done running, you're going to put the low end needle back to 2 1/4 to run it back on alcohol next time you run. But right now we're purging 1 1/8. Don't touch any other settings on the carburetor, and then you're just going to give it a pull. Ow! Okay, after you let it run, just go ahead and let it idle for a couple minutes. One thing I forgot to tell you was after you put the gas in there, in the tank, you just go ahead and pump the bulb and mix the two together. Remember, you're running the same oil, so you're not going to have any problems. So once again, you're going to set it to 1 1/8 on the low end. Don't touch any other needles. You're going to pump the bulb to mix the fuel through the lines, get it down through the return line, and then you're going to pull it. She should start right up. All right, thanks for watching. Now go do some wheelies.